Hi juniors, welcome to Computer Systems and Programming. This is the comparison operators practice video. So to follow along, you'll go on Canvas, do the comparison outline.py, and then once you finish that, you'll just submit it here for the activity prompt. To download this, you'll click it, go into a new tab, then you would download it right here. You can download it to your desktop. I have it in my comparison operators folder right here. So I'm just going to delete this. It's right next to my mathematical operators folder. And then right there, it's in there. So let's head over to PyCharm and let's get to work. To start, we'll talk about the syntax. This is the grammar for comparison operators. It starts with a variable, just like everything else, and it's set to data, comparison operator, data. So it's just like everything else, like the mathematical operators you used in the previous part of this release, except now it's a comparison operator. With the comparison operators, they always output true or false. So the first one we're going to look at is the equals equals. This is checking if something is equal to a different piece of data. So if it's the same, it's going to output as true. And if it's different, then it's going to output as false. On the bottom, I have this print x here. So I'm just going to write x is set to, and then let's say 44 equals 44. If I run this, if we look at our run window, we see that it outputted true. But what if we change one of these? If we make it, let's just say 443, it'll output false. Now, what if these were strings? What if these were different strings? So let's set it to the string value of play, and then we check it if it's equal to stop. Now, this is pretty simple. It's going to output false because they're not the same thing. But what if it was stop like this? Would it output true or false? It's going to output false because it also checks for capitalization. This is technically a different character than that. Even if I were to add a space at the end, it'll output false. It has to be the exact same characters, otherwise it's not going to output as true. The next one is the greater than. So if I set x to 44 is greater than 1, it's going to output as true because that's a true statement. Now, if it was false, let's just say 444, it's going to be false. Now, for the next one, which is the less than, it's pretty much the exact same thing, except it's just switched around. So if I did 55 is less than 66, that'll output as true. And if it's not true, it's going to output as false. But what happens if they're the same thing? What's it going to output? It's going to output as false. Because 55 is not less than 55. It is 55. But that's where this next comparison operator comes in handy. If we set x to 55 is greater than or equal to 55, it'll output as true. Because this is the greater than or equal to operator. It's checking if 55 is greater than or equal to 55. If either of those is true, it outputs as true. So let's just do some more practice drills and it'll output true since 66 is bigger than 55 and 44 is less than 55, so it's going to output as false. It's the exact same thing, but opposite for the less than and equal to, but it doesn't hurt to keep doing more. So we'll do 55, less than or equal to 55. That's true. What about 56? That's also true. If it's 1, 55 is not less than 1, so it's going to output false. Hopefully this makes sense, but if you do get any errors, make sure you're checking for the proper syntax. This is the syntax up here. This is the grammar of the code. So if I accidentally forget to make the comparison operator, it's going to give me an error because it doesn't know what to do with this. Another thing to keep in mind is you can always compare variables also. So if I set y to 4 and then z to 3, and then if I compare x is set to y equals z, it's going to compare those and say, no, false, 4 does not equal 3. You can also do this for every single one of the comparison operators that we did before. So 4 is greater than 3. 4 is not less than 3, so it's going to output false. So mess around with this. Make sure you get a good feel for this in the practice drills that you'll be doing next. Otherwise, if you have any questions, feel free to attend student hours or just send an email. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day.